Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. So I was talking to my dad today, and I don't know how I managed to do this so quickly. I kind of impressed myself. So I was talking to him on the way home from work today, and we were talking about the. He asked me, he's like, "Who's Crowdstrike? What is this Crowdstrike thing?" And so I started looking into it when I got home, and this is too coincidental. It's too coincidental. I don't know how to describe it without saying it's part of something. It's just too coincidental, and I'm going to explain to you why and how. So Shauna's with us today, but she's muting because she's got kids going crazy making noise. But she's going to be there for a visual stimulation and effect. So, what was that? All right. Anyway, so CrowdStrike, and I'm going to describe what they are later, but I want to go into what the issue is with them. So, a lot of people have probably saw the news, and they've been talking about this humongous internet outage. So it is an outage, but it's not an outage at the same time. So there was an issue with, I guess, a software update happened with CrowdStrike, and so they're basically like a giant. They investigate like internet things. They're a private company that is it's a publicly held company that investigates internet things. It's the best way I can describe it, but I'll get into who they are here in a minute. So this software update was bad, apparently, and it caused outages, and and like major disruptions like all over the world. That's how big this company is. I don't think the news did even half the justice of how big this company is. They're gigantic. It affected businesses, hospitals, and airports, like some major things all across the world. And so it caused what they call the blue screen of death. And basically it just glitches your screen out. It caused critical failures and crashes. So it's a big deal. They deployed a fix, but not everything's been implemented. Not everything's back up and running yet. So people are still figuring it out. They estimated over 1 million people were affected by this. There's already been lawsuits thrown out there for this. It's going to be a giant mess. It goes all the way to France and England, if that tells you anything. So next, I want to tell you who the top shareholders of this company are, because as we go into when we're looking into the whole Trump assassination attempt, and we talk about who is who, and everyone's given this, the shooter was in the BlackRock commercial. There's the BlackRock conspiracy that's out there that is yet to be determined if it's really a conspiracy or not. No one's proved it wrong yet, and it really hasn't been significantly proven right yet. But the top shareholders for this company, number 1, BlackRock. Imagine that. Number 2, Vanguard. 3, Morgan Stanley. Number 4, this is a company that I haven't heard of yet, and I'm going to dig into them a little bit. They're called Jennison Associates. And then there's number 5, State Street. So you got the big 3, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. So, for my book, The Swiss Effect, that I'm going to release like any second. I just have to finish my cover design, and it's coming out. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street appear in everything in our world. So it doesn't surprise me that they're part of this whole company. Now, So CrowdStrike is worth over $3 billion. So it's $1 billion company. They do well. So as I was investigating this company, I noticed a few things. So the United States government has contracted this company to investigate things, mainly on the liberal side of the world. So when we look into their history, they've done several very high profile cyber attack investigations. They did the 2014 Sony Pictures cyber attack, which, that's kind of far back. It's a decade ago now. Holy crap. It's been a decade. But that was a big one. It was huge. And then they did the 2015, 2016 cyber attacks on the Democratic National Convention, the one that exposed Hillary Clinton. So there was that one, the Hillary versus Bernie. That was a big one. So I'm going to give you my theory on this after we go through this. And then there was the 2016 email leak, in which that was part of the DNC. And now they're investigating and that their own outage. They also did the Russian hacking investigations. This is significant. So they basically came to the conclusion that the hacking for the DNC came from APT28 and APT29. They're both kind of like organizations that Russia uses to hack into stuff. So they figured they were able to trace it back to that. Allegedly, James Comey's not really all that credible. Neither is Hillary Clinton. So, Hillary, we all like Hillary. She's almost as cool as Michelle Obama, Big Mike. So there's this big, like, BlackRock's involved. BlackRock has their hand in everything that's important. And for this assassination attempt to happen on Trump with a potential BlackRock fingerprint on it, then we go into the outage. While we were distracted by the assassination attempt, we have this outage that happens, and it was major. It affected a lot of things. Over 1 million people were affected. And they also have investigated hackings that have happened into Ukraine via Russia. So where I'm going with this is I feel like this could have been a cyber attack from Russia. CrowdStrike constantly has their hands into dealing with Russia. They're always investigating Russia all the time from their history. And rightfully so, because Russia's always hacking into things all the time. So Ukraine actually rejected the CrowdStrike report when CrowdStrike said, "Hey, this is what happened," and Ukraine was like, "No, we're not going with that." But just with the fact that BlackRock is involved and their name is on this, they're the number one shareholder for this company, is significant with the Trump assassination attempt. Now, granted, I'm going to tell you all to take this with a grain of salt, because hence BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are the largest asset managers in the world. So just naturally, they're going to have their hand involved in everything. Just naturally, whether it's nefarious or not, they'll have their hand in it. So, not everything with BlackRock attached to it is going to be this big conspiracy theory. So I need everybody that thinks about this, but it is weird how these things are happening in succession and this close to each other. It makes me feel like Russia's trying to dig into some information. They're trying to get to something. And I did read an article in the Russian media where they said, I hope, where Putin was quoted to say, I hope the FBI plugs that shooter's phone into the internet, because he's going to steal it. He's going to steal it, and he's going to have the information. And then this blackout happens. So there's a lot of cloak and dagger going on in the world right now. And so this is very interesting to me, and I'm going to continue to dig into this and see how far I can get with it. But I feel like I might have stepped on something, and you can blame my dad, because he's like, who is it? Who are these guys? And I'm like, well, let's go find out. So I dug into it, and I started digging into stuff that probably I haven't heard the internet bring these up yet. So I might be the first. I don't know. We'll find out. While we're all here, so in my book covers a lot of BlackRock holdings. Okay, so I've already had I would consider it a very credible death threat from probably somebody affiliated with one of those companies. So I know I'm getting somewhere because I started asking questions to journalists that are known and have some pull and knowledge. And that was when everything started, when I started asking questions and was actually, physically communicating with other journalists that have investigated these things before, and they were shut down very quickly and told not to talk about it. So I know there's something there. I just have to piece the rest of it together. But for my book, I've investigated a lot of BlackRock holdings, and I've tied them together to all the things that I believe that they're strategically influencing in the world for a bigger agenda. But just to give you some clarification, there are two companies that I looked into in the making of my book. One was everything associated with Elon Musk. So SpaceX and Tesla. And, he has other stuff too, but I looked into SpaceX and Tesla. So BlackRock has their hand in everything. Do they have their hand in SpaceX and Tesla? Yes, they do. However, it's done differently. Elon Musk remains the top shareholder for his own companies, which other companies have not been able to do that. So BlackRock jumped in there, and they'll take just enough to take majority shareholder, like 11, 12, 13%. They do just enough to take majority shareholder, or Vanguard will do it, or State Street will do it. However, with Elon Musk, he maintains, he does it on purpose so they can't control his business, because SpaceX is actually a very significant company to the world, to the progression of the world. So it would be in BlackRock's best interest to have a stake in SpaceX. They would probably rather have controlling majority, but they don't, because Elon Musk refused to allow them to. The second company I looked into, because I wanted to make sure that what I knew to be true is Truth Social. So I looked into Truth Social. So Donald Trump is the majority shareholder. Boom. So that covers anybody else on the list. And in the top 5 shareholders of Truth Social, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard are not on the list. It is the only company that I've looked at so far where those 3 are not on the list. So that tells me that the information that I have researched for over the last year, and the research that is going to be in my book that hopefully everybody will read, because I feel like I did something there that people need to know. And it verifies and makes it valid of the research that I did, and that what we know and what I believe to be true about Donald Trump is continually true. It was actually a big relief. I was really scared that I was going to see those companies on Truth Social holdings, and they're not. And if they are, they're way down the list because they're not. It's Donald Trump, Jeff Yass, some other insiders, institutional investors, and then there's your public companies and individual investors. So everybody's got such a small stake that they're not even named. But Donald Trump has complete control over Truth Social, which is a relief. And then Jeff Yass is basically Donald Trump's partner. He's a minority owner, that's second closest to Trump. So that made me feel a lot better about what's going on. This is important. I'm going to continue to look into as things transpire going into the election, as to how much influence is BlackRock trying to create now. They have been, I mean, people kind of know about them, but I don't think people understand just how big BlackRock is. They are the #1 asset management company in the world, and they're worth over $16 trillion. They hold over $16 trillion worth of assets. And that when you have that many assets, you are controlling a lot of things, pretty much the world. So now, with that said, the CEO of BlackRock is a guy by the name of Larry Fink. So Larry Fink has been doing this for a minute. So he actually, it's surprising to know, and a lot of people do not know this, that Larry Fink was part of Trump's original team when Trump got elected president in the first time around. So he was a financial advisor for Trump. Why not? It makes sense. Put the guy who is the biggest asset management holder in the world. Obviously, he knows how to make money. So let's put him in there to see if he can, help turn the economy around from Obama's administration. But then something happened between those two, and Trump got rid of him. And which nobody really paid too much of attention to it at the time. And I didn't either. I didn't know who Larry Fink was back then. So when Trump got rid of him, I was like, whoa, whoop-de-doo, another banker gone. But I didn't realize that he's not just another banker. He's the banker. So when we go into that, Larry Fink has not had anything good to say about Donald Trump ever since. So I think something happened between the two. And I have a theory, and I outline it in my book, so I'm not going to spoil it for the podcast, because, once my book's out, then we'll talk about it in depth. But Larry Fink is not a sweet and innocent type of guy. He has an agenda of his own, and he also Larry Fink is not a primary shot caller of the world. He is the largest asset management holder in the world, but he's not the largest, the biggest big dog of them all. If you read my book, you'll find out who the big dog is. Dogs. There are a few. But he's kind of up there, but he's not he's taking orders from somebody. I'll tell you that. So, I feel like when I wake up and go to the gym in the morning, I'm going to have to start checking rooftops or something. So, Shauna's over there making faces and shaking her head. She's probably thinking I'm ridiculous right now. But I just wanted to share that quick research that I did today. I got stuck down the hole, and it was a lot of fun, because it just makes me just go, wow, man, like how connected is all this stuff? Is it connected? Was there a cyber attack? Because that's what it seems like when they're like, oh, they had the blue screen of death showed up. Well, that sounds like a cyber attack. It sounds like some malware or something got thrown in there, So I'd be willing to bet that Russia probably did something, and I'm going to be watching the Russian news for the next few days to see if they tip me off to who did it. And Putin likes to boast when he does something, especially something that big where millions of people all over the world were affected. I think he's up to something. There's other things that he's been doing that I am probably going to bring up on Sunday. that they're getting ready to expose Joe Biden. Joe Biden's about to go down. And like the saying is that the Democrats will eat their own, and Joe Biden's about to get cannibalized like his uncle. So, metaphorically speaking, of course, maybe not. We know how those weird satanic liberals are. They may sacrifice Joe Biden. I don't know. But that's it for my show for the day. It's a quickie, but I just wanted to share my quick research before I forget everything. Sometimes you just got to get on here and just document stuff. So that way, I feel like I'm the first to report this. So hopefully somebody will go, well, the guy's really smart. Look at that smart guy over there. Then look at Shauna over there. She's just shaking her head and been flipping me off and trying to make me feel like I'm not that important. Listen, in my world, I'm like on Trump level, okay? But everybody be safe. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Shauna will be back on Sunday, hopefully. If she's not too busy doing other stuff, like being a mom, like, come on now. But I will see you guys on Sunday. Everybody be safe. And peace.